Go.
So we are live now.
Yeah.
Yes, we are live. We are live now. Excellent. So for those people who are online, this is extremely exciting to have Iweng Karsiwen here today with us. And this is also, I understand, your first visit to Taiwan. But before we started, we should mention that we are funded by Taiwan Asia Exchange Foundation. Is because thanks to their generosity that we make this happen. So we'll say hi.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone, and online also here. Thank you so much for inviting me to Taiwan. This is my first time from Taiwan. Also, thank you for the bookstore to have space today. I share my space.
Yeah, so although just now we said that this is the first time you came to Taiwan, but actually this very bookstore is not strange to you. You know about this place. You want to explain why?
Because actually I'm not attending but following following their activity every years for the awarding the literature awarding for the migrants. So I'm also every years I'm also we are waiting who are the winner on this year. So know about this, and then some of I know the winner is I know because some of Indonesian migrant workers from Hong Kong.
Yeah, you mentioned Hong Kong, and that is actually how we get connected with you. So do you want to tell us in what kind of conditions you found yourself in Hong Kong?
Actually, I'm going to Hong Kong on the earliest 2000, and as a migrant workers. Before on that, actually the brokers tell me about the Taiwan. They said because I'm asking which country working with the highest salary, and then the broker said it's in Taiwan. Okay, I want to go to Taiwan. Then after I'm go to the agency in Indonesia, the new agency, and they also tell me that there's a new opening in Hong Kong because on that time is Hong Kong. The Indonesian migrant worker is Hong Kong is not really much, only one or two, but on 2000 Hong Kong is opening the Indonesia more, recruiting more. So I decided to go to Hong Kong.
Before you go to Hong Kong, do you want to? Because I actually invited people to imagine how it is. How does it feel to be someone who's never left the country before, but then found themselves in Hong Kong? Do you want to explain to people in what kind of conditions that actually brought you to Hong Kong as a domestic worker?
Okay. Actually, me senior high school graduation. That time I have a scholarship in university, but the scholarship is only for the tuition fee. It's not for the accommodation and food. And the university is outside of my city. It's far away, about 3 hours. So I have to staying there. On that time, it's impossible for me to go back every day at home. So because on that time also my sister she has liver have to go into the hospital to clean the blood every week, and my family needs much money for support the health, go to the hospital. So I decide to not get the scholarship, and I think I have also earned money to helping my family because we need so many money for the health condition of my sister. And someday the broker come to my house and telling about the working overseas with the high salary to Taiwan, and then I'm also agree So that's the reason why I'm deciding to working overseas because in Indonesia before while I'm school I'm also working with my neighbor, but the salary is too small, it's not enough. So I decided I want to earn more money, and then the opportunity is in overseas. So I decided going to overseas to work. And then that time is only domestic workers because I didn't understand what the sector, what the country, even I'm never going everywhere aside in the city. But as I understand, as a woman working as domestic workers, because if you want to work in factory, you have to pay so high, more than 50 million. I don't have that money, so I decided to work as domestic workers.
So what you're saying is that for any Indonesian women, if they want to get a job abroad, she can choose to be working at a factory or working at somebody else's home as a domestic worker. But you mentioned something about 50 million rupiah. Do you want to explain to people what that is?
Before during my time, all of the women is working in domestic workers. There is a working in the factory, but in Malaysia, as we understand. I'm not really understand about in Taiwan what the sector, because the broker is also not explaining. But I heard that if you want working in the factory, you have to pay very high, around 50 million on that time, and that's very big money. The broker is promising if you work in domestic workers, you don't need to pay that much, but you will be get the deduction salary in the placement holiday. So majority of us is choosing deduction salary because we come from poor family. We don't have money to pay.
Yeah, so I know that later on you became an activist, and this salary deduction is something you campaign very much. We'll come back to this later, but can you, now you're going to Hong Kong, do you want to describe the day you arrived?
Yeah, I'm staying in training agency for 5 months to learn language, and always saying by the agency you have to be obedient, listen everything your employer asking you to work, and then you have to be success. The meaning of success is you are finished contract for 2 years. Whatever you are facing in the offices, you have to be patient, and have to be obedient. That is always like clean my brain. And then on January, I've come to Hong Kong. This time is during the winter. Actually, it's 5 degrees in Hong Kong, but we are shocked because we don't know nothing about the winter in Hong Kong, because in agency we never explained that Hong Kong has a winter. You have to bring the jacket or the warm clothes. We didn't know, but because we living in Indonesia is only summer. We only have a raining and summer. We never notice about the winter. What is winter? And then the agencies never explained to us. And then we also have look like shock culture because the building is so high. And in Indonesia we don't have that kind, especially because I'm living in the rural area, in the village. So I was numb my feet because it's really cold, and I'm wearing so many clothes. I'm wearing 3 trousers, wearing so many clothes because I have to go out to make the ID card and to do immigration. Then on that moment, of course, we are feeling so sad because the agencies told us that we come in the winter, and even they didn't give us any jacket. And after that, I'm working with the employer, care of the children and cleaning. But my employer asked me to work in her sister houses in another places. So I work in 2 houses. On that time, I don't know that it's illegal work because my salary also when I'm in the training agency, because I'm never have experience going abroad, so my salary is only 1,800, and I don't have any off day. Yeah, I don't have any off days. This is already explaining from the agency. So my understand, if our understand, everyone who are newcomer, never have experience outside, the salary is only 1,800, and we don't have off day. So I'm working for 1 year. I don't have any off day, and for my they deduct my salary for 4 months. I didn't get any money every month, and because my employer system actually is the insurance worker who are always going to sometimes to China, to other country. So I'm living alone with the children, and then my employer also only provide food for children, not for me. So sometimes my neighborhood Indonesian migrant workers who are living nearby helping me to give some food for me because I don't have salary. I don't have money because all is deduction, and then direct go to from my employer go to agency, and after that, after 1 year, my employer moved to another country, to UK. Then they cut the contract, so send me back again to Indonesia. Actually, on that time I don't know also, but after learning the I'm getting the employment contract, then after the break my contract, laid off. So I read it in the employment contract. It stated actually my salary should be 3,670 Hong Kong dollar, and I have to state it of the rest day, extended holiday, annual leave, food accommodation, and others. And on that time, I was so of course angry because being your salary is only half on that. But on that time, I'm still keeping maybe because this is the employment contract for the who has the experience. I'm still being was my brain because I'm newcomer. But later on, and then they asked me to go back to Indonesia. Or actually in Hong Kong I got some employer because in Hong Kong law, when you terminated because of move to another city, you can allow processing the visa without leaving Hong Kong. But the agency is I don't know that time why my agency is not allowing me to get the employer there and send back me to Indonesia. And then later on, I understand that in organization that's actually this is the trick how the agency and the training agency get more money from the migrant, because if I deduction again the salary, they get money again. So on that time, because I have experience in Hong Kong, and the second contract I can get a full salary 3,670, and they deduct my salary for 7 months, and I don't want to take that because then I bargain to the agency in Indonesia, and they reduce from 7 to 3 months. So actually this is my first time complaining about the agency because I think this too much. I already paying them for months. I only get salary for 1,800 only for 6 months, and then being terminated. And then after that I have to deduct salary, and I don't want. If you deduct me that much, better I don't want to go to Hong Kong. So this is very.
Yeah, so just about 10 minutes, we have heard a very classical example of how this kind of exploitation can be conducted by reducing your salary, not giving you the food, depriving you of off day, statutory holiday, annual leave, and to the degree that you actually is Indonesian friends who took pity on you, that provided you with food. So all these sound, but you say that you're being brainwashed by your agent. You're not asking for help. So now comes to the point that you realize this is not right. But knowing that this is not right, from knowing this is not right to really stand up and try to do something, that is a turning point. So how would you describe this turning point? Who or what, who you met or what you've done that allows you to move that point further to be where you are today? Do you want to explain to people that process?
Actually, after I know that employment contract, and because on the first and second employer, I'm also being exploitation, because the second employer, I'm also not every Sunday go to holiday, because I'm working in 3 houses and very tiring me, because I'm pick up at 5:30 and sleep at 1 every day. I'm working in the book store. I'm working in the 3 houses, helping selling the book for my employer. And one Sunday off day, I just go to the agency building we call boarding house, just sleep, because I'm really tired. I'm not going everywhere. On that, more than almost 2 years. Sometimes I go to the shop to just send money. But after the third employer, the condition is more better. And I go to Victoria Park this time in 2004. In 2004, in the Victoria Park, there is an activity about socialization about the they call deduction salary overcharging. This time not yet a term of charging, but deduction salary, cutting the salary like that. And I listening what they saying, and yeah, that happened to me, similar, and I agree with her view. So I'm joined the organization. After that, I'm learning the Hong Kong law, about the employment Hong Kong law, and then also I'm also learning English, more writing and learning English. And someday when I met with the Labor Department of Hong Kong, and I'm asking, is it true the newcomer is only have salary 1,800? Because of course, my brain is, even though I'm already reading in the employment contract, but I'm still, which one? Because we already brainwashed. The agency is the right one who told me. But this is in the employment contract is the status like this. So I'm asking her, and she explained, no, this is the minimum which you have to receive. Every single worker domestic workers come to Hong Kong. Your employer can be paid you more, but cannot less, even though only $1. So this time, really opened my eyes. Really opened my. That's all. This agency is really bad. They and then because on that, and then we staring each other in the organization. My organization is Association of Indonesian Migrant Workers in Hong Kong, and we start to study. So we have the fact behind of illegal deduction. We have a book on that. This is based on the question and answer. We doing the research for. Actually, I don't know that time is research, but we try to asking. We try to have a survey. More than 2,000 people survey. We gather by ourselves. We try to write down the question, and we analyze, and the similar story with us. So the problem is not only few people, but more on the people. So I'm also interviewing some employer, how they pay to the agency. So we understand that the trick of the agency how to get the benefit is look like the plan A, plan B. Plan A with the full salary, deduction salary from the from the workers for 7 months is 21,000, and the employer is only paid 2 to 3,000. But example, look like my employer, she paid 15,000 Hong Kong dollar, and then plus me, I paid 8,000. 15 and 8,000 is 23. So it's similar, but getting from workers only or both from workers and for employer. So this thing, oh, we know already the trick of the business of the agency who are getting the benefit from the business. We call this is like human trafficking. Business of the people, selling the people. So and then we publish that in English and in Bahasa, and then from that moment also on that time, it's not so easy to getting policy in Indonesia. It's so difficult to wants to learn about the policy, because now it's really easy. We can Googling. Before we don't have mobile phone. Some of us only, maybe in one group and only 1 or 2 people. But it's not so easy to look to searching the information. The government also is really close to the law, to their policy. So we try to study the policy, and then later on we understand, oh, the problem of this overcharging is in Indonesia. So we learn about the law, and then on 2007 we formed the alliance, and then on 2009 we visit the Indonesian, and then we try to asking the law legislation and others. So because on that experience, based on my experience on being cheating by the agency, by the employer, that's I have to write off day, but because I don't know, I don't get any off day. I have to receive salary 3,670 because I don't know, I only receive half. So I'm become angry to myself, but of course on that time is already passed because my employer is not in Hong Kong anymore. How I'm sue her? I cannot sue her. So the way that I'm doing is to teach my fellow migrant workers the employment, the act of the labor law in Hong Kong and then labor law in Indonesia, so people will not become like me, being cheating. So every Sunday I have education, socialization in Victoria Park with the fellow migrant workers.
Yes, so although you told it very nicely, and that was a very inspiring story, but you factor so much into it. It's your off day that allowed you to participate in this kind of campaign. And without this off day, you will never be able to visit other people, interview them, and put their stories into your publication. And also something you mentioned is a lack of information, because you can't get this from the agent, you can't get this from the employer, you can't get this from the Indonesian government either. And then today, thanks to the live streaming, we can share this experiences. But at that time, you said that, of course, that time not many people have mobile phone, but still the control of information seemed to be key to this. You mentioned just now this brainwashing. So many years passed, and you have become who you are today. And we use that's something you told me about, and nothing about us without us. So you're doing that. You're trying to tell people your stories by sharing this. As you said just now, it's not just happening to you, it happened to a lot of other people. So I think there's something particularly appealing to Taiwanese audience about this UN, this United Nations. I think we need to hear from you, and then we can move on to, I will ask you about the main campaigns you have been participating. But first of all, do you want to tell us this very interesting experience that really tells us the importance of nothing about us without us?
Okay. So actually, I'm continuing after I'm learning about the law, and then I understand that the mandatory going to the agency is under the law, and we try to have a campaign to revoke the law. and the change to the new law who have, because our demand actually to we have choose to direct hiring, because we understand majority the problem is come from the agency, because we are training in agency, we pay so high money, because on the training agency they never told us about the law, they never told us about the culture, even the waiter, and then they also never teach us how to safety working, and they only teach how to speak in Cantonese and also working, and because of that much problem come from the agency, and the law is mandatory go to the agency, so we want to revoke to forcing using agency. So our demand is to be we can choose direct hiring, so we can also no need to pay so high. Also another thing, also because go to agency, they also confiscate our document. So many thing problem in the agency. So on that, we now we have win. This win is a win. We can revoke the law and then change to the new law. Even though that's same, still discrimination for the domestic workers, still mandatory going to agency. But for the factory workers or formal worker, they have their own choose, no need to be going to the agency. So and this after that we know the national law, and then of course every government they have to keep their face nicely, but the condition still same, even since I'm working on 2000 until now. I'm still handling the cases of the overcharging, confiscated document, and other that we are experiencing before. So we have to bring this issue to the international issue. It's because my government is will be take notice or take notice if the issue is come to the international or come to the media. so so we try to using this trick to also bring this issue to the international level. So that's why in this year on May 16, I'm come to UN because this is also so long time the international don't have any international law about the migration. But because the situation in migration in this world is really worse, you heard about the many people become look like the what we call move one country to another country because of the winter, the climate change, because of the war, because of the poverty. So the problem of the migrant in the world is forced the international community to talk about it. In 2018, the UN passed the GCM Global Compact on Migration, and every 4 years, they will review every country. The call is International Migrant Review Forum. Was in New York first time in this year in May, and I attending on that. So I bring the issue, I bring the report of condition of Indonesian migrant workers, specific also specific also in Taiwan, because Taiwan is not under the UN. So the report is under the Indonesian report. So we bring the issue of the overcharging and confiscated the document, and also human trafficking. We focus on the three issues. Uh, Also, in specific in Taiwan report, Indonesian migrant workers condition about the overcharging and also the buy and selling the job, because here is so expensive, the placement fee, especially for the factory workers who paid almost 100 million rupiah, because they pay before 40 to 50 million and then deduction salary again here for 9 months, because they have to pay the cash first to buy the job, and then here deduction salary for 9 months. So we bring that issue, submit a report to the special rapporteur, Felipe Gonzalez, the special rapporteur for the migration and human rights. And also I have chance to speak in the UN meeting for 2 minutes, because they only giving every country only 3 minutes, but not everyone can speak. they will choose. We apply, but they will decide it who we can spoke. And luckily, I can spoke for behalf of Indonesian migrants.
That must be a great moment for yourself. That
Yeah.
it's almost like dream come true. That's your mission, and your mission is being fulfilled. That to speak up. But now come back to this issue. You mentioned confiscation of documents. You mentioned the off day. I think we'll talk a bit about off day. You mentioned a document confiscation. I know that you have done a lot of campaign. You have a video about it. Do you want to explain to people that it's not really one-off event? It's not that you lost your documents. You actually may lose that for life. Mm-hmm. So that's a lingering impact on someone who lost it. Do you want to tell people why that is the case?
Yeah, I want to explain how the connection between the placement fee, also the confiscation of document. The practice in Indonesia, when we are asking a job, they will ask us the original ID card, birth certificate, school certificate, marriage certificate, and family member card certificate, which all is original. And they require this, and then if we finish deduction the salary, the placement fee, they will return. But if not finished, they will not return. But some of the agency is they will return when we go back to Indonesia. Because this confiscation document is to make sure we paid the placement fee. If we not completely paid, they will ask us money to complete, even though we are terminated or they didn't consider on it. So recently, last year, we doing the research. We call feminist participation action research. We try to know what's the impact of the migrant, also the family, because Kabar Bumi is organizing the families, also the return migrant. So what the impact of the migration, both of them facing by families and facing by the migrant. So we try to doing this research, and we understand that the impact of the confiscation document, because some of them is still in the overseas, but the agency is closed down and they move. And then some of the document, the original documents look like school certificate or other certificate is lost. For maybe ID card, family member card, we can make again a new one, but not for the school certificate. Because in Indonesia, if we want to continue the school, you have to prove your original certificate. Look like if you want to go to senior high school, you have to showing the junior high school. This should be original. It's not so easy to get a copy again, since in Indonesia it not look like the other country really modern, have the scanning or other they save in the file. But in Indonesia it's really still paper. It's a paper. It's only one paper. If it's given to you and then the school they don't have. So in this case we are met that the impact of that confiscation document look like several migrants cannot continue to another school. She has to begin again from the elementary school to get to the next. And then aside of that, in Indonesia is mandatory. If you asking a job, they will also giving the school certificate. I don't know here, but in Indonesia there's a mandatory. So some of the migrant workers who are lost their school certificate, they cannot working in the other factory or in the look like under the supermarket. It's only going to the look like daily work is the construction. This is mandatory proving that.
Yeah, so I think for people in Taiwan would tend to imagine that you will lose your documents when you arrive in this country and your employer or your local agents will take away from you. But I heard from you just before we came here, actually you lose that documents very earlier, even when you were in Indonesia, you have already surrendered that to your agents in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain a bit more about that?
Okay, on the beginning when we apply our job, the broker actually majority of us is a broker come to our house and then bring us to the city, to the employment agency, majority in Jakarta and Surabaya. On that very beginning, we have to submit that document. Until we waiting the visa, I'm waiting for 5 months. And then after that, I'm going abroad. While I'm going abroad, I have to pay the deduction salary. But majority waiting us to back again to Indonesia and getting. But the problem, some of the agency, when we back already to Indonesia, the agency was closed down, moved to another. How to looking for? We don't know how to looking for, so we lost that document.
Yeah, so that means that the retain or confiscating your documents in a sense is coercion because make you feel like this is a ransom they keep in order to make sure you will complete your contract so that you have the opportunity to retain your documents.
Yeah, it's mandatory. You have to finish the placement fee and finishing your contract. And if you go back, and you can get that document. Even until now, we try look like it's not applicable in Hong Kong or Taiwan. Example look like migrant to Japan. I think it's more extreme because as long as this worker still in Japan, the document cannot be get until now. Even the family even the migrant asking the family to get it, they will not allow. This is look like the guarantee you should be obedient working there because sometimes they scare if we are running away, being undocumented like that.
So in that sense, that kind of coercion is not only imposed on you, the worker, but also is a pressure on your families because your families are also being understand that you said before they're being also threatened.
Yeah.
And I know you want to also talk about something else on the way here. You reminded me that your organization Kabar Bumi is participating in this international campaign called 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence, and that lasted from 25th of November to 10th of December. Related to that, there's a new research you've been doing about women's reproductive health. So I don't know if you want to explain to people about this forced contraception, this process.
Yeah. Before that, I want to continue the impact of the confiscation document, not only because of the migrant workers' loss for daily life, but also some of us is also the impact is the children cannot make the birth certificate because those original document in Indonesia such as ID card, marriage certificate, because in and the family card certificate is the mandatory to submit to making the birth certificate for the children. And you can imagine if they lost also the marriage certificate, cannot is it not easy to get it again, and can sometimes cannot approving. So it's also difficult also to be have a birth certificate for the children. And because this is November, this coming 25 November is the beginning of the campaign. Why we are also joining this campaign because majority of the migrant is the woman, and we after we studying the international law, national law is more the cases is under the gender-based violence for the woman because many many exploitation or the vulnerable situation is more suffer women. I'm not saying man is not suffering, but of course, is a woman is more look like double burden of the gender because of the gender-based violence. Example look like that recently we published a campaign about the forced contraception. That's every single woman who want to work in abroad, the agency injection us for the Depo-Vera 3 months to make sure the woman is not pregnant. But this is not applied to men, only applied to women. And we interviewed some victims to have make a short video telling a story, the impact of the forced contraception. Because when they got the injection, they're still 17 years. Some is 17 years old, some is 19 and 20. They are not yet married, but they didn't think, even though you have a partner or not, all of the women being injection. The nurses come into the agency, they inject all the women, and the impact 3 of women who are after they married, it's not so easy to have a baby. They have to go to the doctor to doing the more than 3 months, because there is doctor have also to make you more better condition in the for the self others. So after that they become pregnant, but before it's so difficult to them. So this is one impact of the forced contraception. Even though now in Indonesia is passed the law of the sexual rights, is the forced contraception is one form of the sexual abuses in international, also in Indonesia. So for this moment now, we also when we ask to many, before we understand there's an injection, but we didn't understand that's why. And then we now in an organization, because we learn the law, we understand this is as a form of violence, woman, and then this is not normal, because majority of the women nowadays they experience on that, but they think this is only look like administration requirement. Similar look like the confiscation of the document. They think this is a requirements, administrative requirement. If you want to go in abroad, then you have to pay giving that document. But after we learning that in the international law, even the international law is prohibited for someone to hold the document, the original document. This is your right. This is the basic human right. You have to hold your own document. Also, same thing. You have to as a woman, you have your right for your bodies as a woman. So we comment on that.
Yeah, when I was listening to what you said just now, that strikes me that we can just easily say that this is brainwashing, but the degree of brainwashing is actually to such that you never question. It takes someone to question why things are done in this specific way. Otherwise, you just accept it. This is the way it is. This is, if you want to go work in abroad, that's the process you have to go through. And hundreds and thousands of women, men as well, going through this process without asking questions. And then it takes a few individuals like you and your colleagues. I have the privilege, being introduced by you, I have the privilege to know, I want to mention their name, Sring and Yosa in Hong Kong and Macau. These women with great bravery to make us understand more about this. So we cannot thank you more to do this on behalf of other women, on behalf of other migrant workers, on their children and their families. Yeah, and I remember you told me that some women been away from home for so long. When they went back home, their children called mum sister. That is to challenge our understanding of family relationship. And just now, before we came here, we asked you what you cooked for your Hong Kong employers. But imagine, and you said just now that your employer was not home and then she left you with the children. So you're actually the surrogate mother in a sense to look after their children. So in a sense, we cannot thank more of these women who left their children, their parents, their families behind and provide a service that has been so much exploited. Thank you so much for standing against us, to make us understand more. I know that was your mission to here to do this, and I know you want to take questions. Yes, I don't know if there's any question online people want to ask. Otherwise, we can go on. This is a very interesting story, very inspiring. We don't know if anyone wants to ask questions online.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, yes, it's a bit true because based on our experience, 2006, when we learn form of when in the organization we try to form also the alliance to campaign, then we understand that before we already always asking why so many cases, everyday cases and cases. You also facing these cases, and then what happened? And then we try to learn the policy, and then we understand the policy. Oh, this is from the government. Oh, so we have to change the policy. To change the policy, we have to organizing a big campaign with many people. So we try to educate it. We try to have public awareness, everything. And after that, we win several examples look like the placement fee before in Hong Kong 7 months become 6 months, and then we also have a public campaign here in Taiwan from the 15 months to 9 months. Even though still too much, but we have still continue. And then also one thing is about I'm working in Hong Kong for 11 years. I'm also become a survivor and become an organizer because of this life experience. And I've seen here in Taiwan, not so many migrant workers have off day. So this is, I'm thinking should be some big change here campaign to people to have their rest day is the 1 week, 1 time. This is actually this is under international law is mandatory to giving off day to the people. This is a basic right of the in person. So I'm also seeing the different things that before I'm in Hong Kong, I can freely every Sunday organizing people, meeting people, but here not. Because last time I tried to go to main station and it's not so many Indonesian, and I heard also if here the factory workers have off day but not for domestic workers, home-based workers. So this is also, I think I have this is not everyone who here today, maybe we can think together, stand together for the right of off day here in Taiwan. Because we can do everything as a symbol of like they can come to the library to reading the book, or they can also because most of the population of the migrant workers now around 9 million, 70% are women, and majority of them is young age from 25 to 30 or 35, as they still learn, and they want. Some of them also now is attending the university by online, open university. So this they need off day to doing that activity, to doing that. Look like if they love to dancing, they can form practicing dancing. Some of them also practicing another their hobby and others. So if they know of day, will become very worse because people depressed. People need it's not only the bodies but the psychological have to see another. So this is really important, I think, of the
Yeah, we talked about the statutory off day issue. So recap what you said just now. It's not just about you need to rest. you told us at the beginning, you said when you're really, really tired and in your first contract, you went to the agency, you just want to sleep. But once you move on from that stage, you started using that day for leisure, meeting people, and because of meeting people, you get more information. Because getting more information, you started to raise questions. After you raise questions, you somehow met people who could provide some kind of answers. A lot more people found the answers and they tried to solve the problem. But now you also told us that we in the morning we visited Tiwa. We also know that this off day also provide the opportunity for people to gather together regularly, so that shows really in Hong Kong the self-organized associations in Hong Kong could take off, maybe less to the less degree here in Taiwan. And you told us this is something I never heard. That's why I like to chat with you, because every time I talk to you, I get something new. That's very rewarding. So you mentioned just now some workers will also try to use the off day to study online. This is lovely. Even just want to dance, why not? But I'll ask you before, so if we don't have any questions, I want to ask you again. You told us that you actually have a scholarship to go to university. You couldn't. You gave up because you want to help your parents because your sister was ill. Many years passed, and you said that you wanted to study. So I'm going to ask, because before you told me your friends choose to study teaching, they became teachers. Your friends study nursing, they became nurses. If you now can go back to university, what do you want to study?
Now, because I think I want to get the law, since this is every day I have to learn. Even I'm not going to university, but I have to learn about the law. It's not only national law, but international law of the labor rights, women rights. Also now studying about the women like CEDAW and others, and aside of that also form of the violence, and now also to have to learn about the extra. It's not I forget, but this is a form of the torture. The international UN in the torture. Because now we are handling also the cases of the human trafficking, and also the victim of human trafficking facing the death penalty, and also we assist some of the victims in the jail who are receiving the torture. So we now is also I have to learn about that, and aside of that also we have to giving any input to the national and international. We're also writing a report in the UPR, Universal Periodic Review. This is a review by the UN for country review. So we have to learn about many international legislation and law. So I think I will get that.
So you want to study law and you could become a practitioner?
Not for.
Yeah. But,
yeah, because I already practice assisting the cases,
yes.
But I'm not have the license.
You don't have the license to do things you already know so well. Yes. I guess in that sense is to increase your capacity to do more efficiently and effectively. And you can also educate others. So that is multiplying your capacity.
Yeah.
So we wish you well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hoping that dream come true.
Yes, we'll try that. I understand that we only given an hour, and it's only probably just 3 minutes to the hour. I don't know, should we wrap up or if there's any questions? Or you actually have questions, sorry.
I have a question about I'm curious just about the open university, because you say many the migrant workers, they need the day off to join the open university online. But as I know, some people tell me, some Indonesian people tell me that they think the open university maybe cannot to help the migrant worker to find a better job in the future. So I'm curious. I want to.
Yeah, I think for me, of course, school is not really getting from the table of the school institution. For me, my experience teach me that my school is already in my experience day to day. I learn the new law and others without getting from the school. Yes, that's true because Indonesia is very difficult to get a job. Even though you already have graduated in university, normal university or open university. Even in normal university, is not have guarantee you can get a better job. But for me, I love to learn everything. Many people is also maybe the same. They go to the school because they have to want to learn. They have want to increasing the capacity, increasing the knowledge. This is the important thing because my experience is teach me that without any knowledge, you will become easily threatened by others, easily exploited by others. You have to understand the law, so you will not become exploited, or you know how to get your rights because of the knowledge. So knowledge is the important thing. Even though yes, many my friend, even she already master, she's jobless. She working only in the part-time works. So that's why I'm also really enjoying work as a social working in the Kabar Bumi because my personal view is in this world you have to be can be helping others in this world. So if you have knowledge but you didn't share to others, I think for me is useless. As a human, you have to also pass your knowledge to others.
The knowledge to you is a tool, and getting a degree is not just for the sake of a job hunting. It is to, in a sense, being respected by others for your profession, your enthusiasm, and your commitment, and then multiply that kind of capacity in order to do more for others.
Yes.
I don't know any other better way to inspire people. This is excellent.
Yeah, I have a addiction proverb. It's about I know maybe you don't know because the Taiwan government is worried about we will lack of a migrant worker. Because nowadays Japan they just recruit a lot of the Southeast Asian migrant worker to Japan. So Taiwan is worried about our lack about the labor. So nowadays the Taiwan government they also have many local government. Local government they set some migrant workers school. You know that.
Are you aware of this kind of training? But we have to ask what kind of training they provide.
They have just Sunday school. Yeah, just Sunday. And
In Taiwan?
In Taipei, especially in Taipei, they offer like computer science and maybe language, Chinese language, and some food or cuisine or others. Yeah, maybe a skill training.
As I understand, this come from the government, Indonesian government is providing the training. This is empowerment actually to prepare when they not working here again in Taiwan or in overseas. This is training is also not applied here but I don't know in Taiwan they apply it or not. But I understand in Indonesia, in Hong Kong, the Indonesian government is really work on it. So they increasing the capacity like the salon, cut hair or makeup, hair tracing or the makeup or makeup of artists for the married like that. They provide this training and then language, and then some of them also a cooking class, become a chef like that. So to push people actually when government is always believe that if you have skill, you don't need to come again to offices. You just working at home. You earn money much here. Use that money to open the small business or entrepreneurship in Indonesia. So all this pushing people to doing that, but in the reality actually because the before people always supposed to selling in the small store like selling the daily needs. But now in Indonesia, because of the for the international events, that so many small supermarket in Indonesia. Look like here, I see everywhere is family.
That's
mart.
like sari-sari in
Yeah.
the Philippines.
Yeah.
So
But look like family mart everywhere in Indonesia. So when the individual person open the small shop, they close down because of this monopoly of that. And then now based on our experience, because not every business can be success. This really depend on your money, really depend on your experience, or really depend on the situation in the places. That if you have so many people selling the same thing, of course, it will be easily to close down. And but now government has opened that, and then also but I didn't understand if the Taiwan government also provide that. I didn't hear anything about that.
yeah, but I think I think to that it sounded to me that I know nothing about it, but I think it sounds like more like leisure activities or skill acquisition. And the thing you talk about, Indonesian government seem to be saying that if you can acquire some kind of a practical skills, then perhaps unemployment could be reduced. But as you said, unemployment is not just individual skill level, it's actually a question of a macro economics. Before we came here yesterday, we talked about something at that cafe. It's about, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Here, I think in this country, we tend to think Southeast Asian workers only work in East Asia, in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Macau, South Korea, Japan. But yesterday, we talked about the case that even in the UK, you describe how the Indonesian government look really stupid. Apologize for my language, but the way you describe it, it sounds like a comedy. I don't know if you want to explain to people, because that is the same kind of principle of paying high recruitment fee, buying a promise that is actually broken.
Yeah, actually, government have a dream to exchange the informal workers to be formal workers. Because Indonesia is the biggest sending of the informal workers now, and they have a roadmap to go to the formal worker. So every single formal worker that's really proud of themselves, they can send people of the formal worker. Example look like last year they sent is around the target is 1,000 maybe. 1,000 workers working to UK in the plantation. Actually, it's the seasonal worker who are pick up the fruit, and the contract in this is published by the government. Even though they are also sending these migrant workers in the airport, say bye bye, they cut the ribbon. The contract is 2 years contract in Indonesia, but is really actually this is sorry for saying this a little bit stupid. Actually, the contract in UK is only 6 months. It's not 2 years. So when the workers go to UK, they become undocumented. Yeah, and become abandoned. In this case, more than 100 people who are already overstay, and this problem now become also look like. You see, even government themselves who are sending to the airport. But they didn't understand that in the fact in the UK it's only 6 month contract, not 2 years. You can imagine this is government level. So because of that, call on call for farmer worker, and then also promoting working in Australia, promoting working in Polandia. So because they want to switch the image. They think that the more vulnerable, the more problem is come from the informal worker. But formal worker, they think it's good salary, good opportunity, there is no problem. So actually this is wrong view, because you understand even here in Taiwan, many of the factory workers, the formal workers, they have facing so many problems. And then in the fishing workers, the fishermen, they also facing so many problems. So this is really big question. The problem, they have to change the law, they have to enforce the law, they have to make sure the protection, not formal, informal. I think this is no matter of the work. We have to this is the we cannot to be discriminated of formal and informal. Those of job is a job. The thing is you giving the protection or not.
I don't know if we should close or any questions. No? No questions. In that case, yeah, one question.
Actually not a question, but you mentioned earlier about you changed the slogan, nothing about us to without us to nothing about migrants without migrants. So could you talk about that more?
Actually, the beginning is nothing about migrant without migrants. So this is a campaign. As I said, this slogan at the beginning for the many years. The problem of the migrants speak in the international level or regional level or even the national level is speak behalf on others, like NGO, but not as the migrant itself. So because of course I'm not saying that they are saying it's not really right, but of course it's really different when you are talking. When you are sharing your life experience, so what you want to achieve, so we are to be heard, because you are talking about the problem of the migrant, but you never invite us to speak, to asking the question what you want to be changing. They only talking by themselves without including us, so we cannot reach. So this is the good engagement between the migrant and government. It should be reaching, should be there, so we can good communication. So government will understand what we want, and then we also can giving our view how you can protect us. So this is the important thing. So we have that slogan to include us every single of the talking about the policy. So thank you so much for giving opportunity to me yesterday to meet the Ministry of the Labor, because this is the space we can talk our problem and we can resolve together our problem.
Yes, so on that note, I would just want to mention one thing. I thought we would have time to talk about the pandemic. I know you and your colleagues have done a great job during the pandemic. We probably don't have time for that, but I want to mention something. This is personal realization, because in the UK, the pandemic came down really harsh, and we observed that in the UK, the cases of abuse at home increased because women got stuck at home. The cases of abuse increased because women cannot leave home without the person who abused them, because they can't leave or they will lose the means to survive.
But if you change that, the narrative actually remain exactly the same. But if you replace a woman and her partner to the domestic worker and the employer, it's exactly the same thing. I think it really took a global pandemic to us to understand what kind of working conditions that are for the home-based domestic workers and care workers. We didn't understand this until this became a global problem. Then somehow this issue became so pronounced to us until today.
Yeah, this pandemic is really scary actually because it's more burden and more exploitative to the migrant workers especially. Many of them cannot get out, and many of them is long working hour without rest day. And because of that, now the situation is a little bit changes because the employer is using non-giving off day for the more than 2 years, and now many employer is not so easily, even in Hong Kong, not easily to giving any off day to them, so being more exploitative. And then because for us working at home because of the pandemic is more and more example of like usually we mop the floor is only 2 times a day. Because of that pandemic, we can mop the floor more than 5, and then we wipe all the floor, the wall with the the sanitizer, and then the water. Because before I'm working when the it's not the virus before this coronavirus in Hong Kong, SARS. I experienced.
Right.
I have to. Every people come from outside. They off all this thing, and we have to wash even the shoes, even the bag, even everything, and then clean again. Everything should be clean with the using the Clorox, using the water. So it's really tiring us. And then cooking because people stay at home all the days. Usually we are already cooking dinner, but because of the pandemic, we cooking morning, after lunch, and then dinner. Sometimes they ask us to make a snack. So no rest day, no off day, more longer working hour, and then the condition also some of them also being because of the employer also lost their job. They cannot paying the workers. So many problem. Even though in Indonesia also because of lockdown in Korea and in Taiwan, many of them who already come to Taiwan already have a visa, but because of lockdown they lost the opportunity. It's not only lost the opportunity, but they still in the look like because they already have the visa and the agency already prepare anything to her. The agency still asking the money, the placement fee, even though there's not going to Taiwan. Yeah. So this is a common. It's more than 10,000 cases being abandoned because of the pandemic cannot come to placement country. So aside of that is also the problem being many things. We cannot remit people, remit money to the home country, and it's more vulnerable become look like, if people usually going out in Hong Kong, I don't know here is that or not, but in Hong Kong is really see more people become depressed, mental health. Maybe you can see some of the women in the train station, they suddenly open up the clothes, and then because of this really depression. For the situation, especially for the living in the small country, then you lock down without getting out.
I think we take a lot of time of the, I don't know if we have audience or not, but anyway, I think we have very well used the time. We wish you well. We hope that you can come back to Taiwan, if not to buy the foundation. Hopefully,
You can invite me again.
Yeah, hopefully we could bring you and your colleagues here so that your activism could multiply, and also to work with the local organizations, or maybe work with the regional organizations. We wish you well. Thank you.
you so much.
Thank you so much for
Thank
this
you.
great opportunity. I think I forget mention before because you have what Facebook or what live streaming?
Of course, we have Facebook.
Yeah, we have Facebook.
But you doing live with Facebook on what?
Yeah, on Facebook.
Oh, I forgot it. I think I have to tell you to incorporate with our Facebook or our alliance of people, my groups.
Yes.
Maybe you can share later.
Yes.
You can share it so more people can view.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we do now? If it's all finished,
Okay.